Good morning. Welcome back. We were discussing on Unit 2, that's definition, subject of indirect tax 1 for the 5th semester students. Earlier, we have discussed on the definitions with respect to the various terms of the like actionable claims, agent, address of delivery, address on record, aggregate turnover, etc. So today we will move on to the another definitions like the definition of goods and definition of services and the concept of agriculturist. The outcome is it will help the students to know the definition of the goods and services and also to know the concept and the definition of the term agriculturist that's used in the Goods and Service Tax Act 2017. Introduction. The introduction of GST is a significant step in the field of indirect tax reforms in India, that's amalgamating a large number of central and state taxes into single tax. GST is levied on the supply of goods and services as against the present concept of tax on the manufacture of goods or sale of goods or on provision of services. In order to understand the concept of GST, various terms being used under the GST Act 2017. So it's very important to understand the terms of the definitions that's given under this act. The terms that I discussed in earlier sessions are the actionable claim, address of delivery, aggregate turnover, business, associated enterprises as per section 2 subsection 12. Next is that it is the agriculturist. It's given under section 2 subsection 7. Here we know that that agriculture, any income, agricultural income is exempted under the Income Tax Act of 1961 under the exempted income under section 10 subsection 1. In GST, the term agriculturist, it means an individual or the HEF who undertakes the cultivation of land. HEF means a number of people who live jointly under one roof, Hindu undivided family. The Kata will be the head of the family. And the cultivation of land, I told here, a family, HEF family who undertakes the cultivation of land as an owner or labor or by the labor family or as a servant on wages payable in cash or in kind or hired by labor under the personal supervision or the personal supervision of any member of the family. It is important to mention that the ownership in land is not necessary. The land might have been acquired on lease or on any other way. Cultivation of land is the necessary requirement for an individual or for the HEF. The cultivation of land, it doesn't comprise of the activities. Even though it is commonly considered as agriculture, as per the term agriculturist, here the sericulture, dairy farming, poultry farming, stock breeding, gathering of fruits, etc., like cutting of grass or wood, etc., are considered as an agriculture under the term agriculture's definition, even though here there is no any cultivation of land. And then again, cultivation must be, I told, undertaken by the individual or HEF, but the corporate and any cooperative farming are not covered within the definition of agriculturist. And an agriculturist, to the extent of any supply of produce out of cultivation of land, is not liable for taking registration. And here the term agriculturist definition, it's given under section 2 subsection 7. Next is the term goods. It's given under section 2 subsection 52. goods, the section 2 subsection 52, according to this section, the goods means every kind of the movable property and includes the actionable claim, growing crops and grass and things, any things attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before the supply or under the contract of supply. And here the definition of goods does not include any securities and the money. Money and securities cannot be treated as a goods, but any actionable clients, any movable properties, growing crops, including growing crops and grass, is treated as a goods under the definition of GST Act. But generally, the goods means the, as per the Article 366 subsection 12 of the Constitution of India, the term goods includes all materials, commodities and articles. It is given under the Article 366 subsection 12. But as per the definition of GST, that goods means all kinds of movable properties, including the actionable claim, growing crops, grass and anything attached to or forming part of the land which are agreed to be severed before the supply or at the time of contract of the supply. And it does not include the securities and the money. Next is services. It's given under section 2 subsection 1 or 2. Here the term services means anything other than the goods, money and securities. Anything other than the goods, money and securities is treated as a services. However, but as per the definition, the term services includes activities, any activities relating to the use of the money or its conversion. There must be use of the money or its conversion. So here thus exchange of currencies from one form or denomination to another has also been considered as a services. The term service, it has got the wider defined in a wider sense. We can say everything which is not in goods is defined as a service also. Next is GST Common Portal. It is one of the IT infrastructure for the settlement of interstate trade of goods and services among the states and center. The common portal, it acts as a clearinghouse and it verifies the claims and informs the respective governments to make transfer the funds. And here the GST Common Portal, we call it as a electronic portal that's managed by the Gstn network, that is Goods and Service Tax Network. It has been set up by the government to establish a uniform interface for the taxpayers and a common and for the shared IT infrastructures between the state, center and the states. Primarily, the GSTN provides Goods and Service Tax Network provides three front-end services to the taxpayers. That is namely, that is for the registration, payments and returns. Through GST Common Portal, the functions of the GSTN includes the facilitating the registration and secondly forwarding the returns to both to the central and for the state authorities, and for the computation, the GST network helps for the computation and for the settlement of the IGST, that is integrated goods and service tax, is settled with the help of the GST network, that's by the common portal. And for the matching of tax payment details with the banking network, so here to reconcile the tax payment details with the banking network, providing various MIS reports both to the central and to the state governments. That's based on the taxpayers return informations, and providing analysis for taxpayers profile. The taxpayers profiles can be analyzed with the help of the Gstn network by the common portal, through the common portal. Gstn here, it has